More though on Chris Minns. He had a bit of clean-up to do in terms of his own side this morning.
Yes, the New South Wales Premier's had to go into damage control over these comments by his Attorney-General Michael Daley on Ben Fordham's program on 2GB this morning. On air to discuss the government's drug diversion program, the Attorney-General didn't even know what had happened at the Opera House overnight, and he ended up saying everyone should stay at home at the moment.
That's not something that's in my portfolio, Ben. So I just have to find out some details from within government later on and get back to you if you like.
You're across what happened last night at the Opera House, though?
Not really, no. I worked late last night, so I'm not really across that, no.
OK, so we had a protest last night outside the Opera House. The Israeli flag was burned and Jewish Sydney-siders were told to stay at home. This is despite your Premier Chris Minns declaring that we were going to light up the sails of the Opera House to show solidarity with Jewish people living here in Australia.
Well, I think everybody needs to just calm down and, as you say, do stay at home. This sort of dividing into camps and barracking over what's a horrific situation in the Middle East is just not acceptable. What everybody needs to do is to show restraint and respect and calm down. And
well, what's the point in lighting up the sails of the Opera House and then telling Jewish people to stay home for their own safety?
I think all people should stay home for their own safety if the streets are unsafe. But
is New South Wales and Sydney unsafe?
Well, I'm confident that the police have got the streets under control, as they always do.
All right, for the Attorney-General of New South Wales to not be aware of the biggest story in Australia at the moment when he does a morning radio interview is embarrassing, to say the least. And his Premier indicated he was going to tell him off.
I want to make it clear that I don't support those comments. I will be speaking to the Attorney-General today. I think there's a false equivalence when you're speaking about the Jewish community in New South Wales that want to come together in solemnity in relation to the barbarism that we've seen in Israel over the last 48 hours.
Well, this isn't the first time Michael Daley has come under fire for a lack of detail either.
How much more are you going to spend on TAFE?
Will be about $3 billion on TAFE with all their...
$3 billion?
Well, tell me, check that for you, David.
So hang on, Michael Daley. You're not sure, with education centrepiece of your election, you're not sure how much more you're spending on schools, and you're not sure how much more you're spending on TAFE?
I'll just check that figure and get back to you, David. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, just check if there was a controversial protest at the Opera House last night. Now, just the last few minutes, you heard there the opposition leader, Mark Speakman. It's a story in The Australian as well, talking about the son of the Parliamentary Secretary to the Premier on multiculturalism. That's Mark Buttigieg's the Parliamentary Secretary. His son seems to be involved in the socialist movement at Sydney Uni, Gerard Buttigieg, being at the protest. And we have this footage here. He was apparently chanting Free Palestine. No evidence, there he is. No evidence he was chanting anything else. The Australian reports that Mark Buttigieg didn't know about his attendance until afterwards. So Mark Speakman, the New South Wales opposition leader, demanding that Mark Buttigieg condemn his son's attendance, or says the Premier should sack him by 5 p.m. So that's another controversy there for the New South Wales government out of this sorry affair last night, Kieran.